In today's video, I decided to ruin any sense of joy I had left and beat RE4 on the hardest difficulty, but not by Capcom standards, but by literally every standard imaginable, with that being the No Time for Death Extreme mod, while also needing to complete this on the hardest of the 4 difficulties, No Time to Die. Now, if that didn't seem mental enough, I decided to do this without using anything besides my good old legs, some throwables, and my knife. Not one time, under any circumstances, am I allowed to fire a single bullet, no matter what. Yeah, I don't know why I agreed to this. Now, to help me on this sadistic journey, I went on ahead and downloaded the main mod needed for this challenge, which is the Fatal mod that will allow me to knock off almost anything without having to stun. Along with this lightning effect that doesn't add any damage at all, it just looks cool. Now, obviously, this is an insane challenge to pull off, even by Leon standards. So I made a few calls and was able to find someone with inhumane abilities to help, so I don't lose my mind 1 hour in.
Sorry, not open for business yet.
Starting off this journey into madness in order to find the president's daughter, we're accompanied by a lovely companion that I'm sure will make little to no impact in assisting us. Before even heading to the first objective, we're already met by these fiends, and by their quick movements and speed, they're on the good stuff. After already taking out what seemed to be 100+ enemies in the first minute, we head inside this lovely abode to find some hot cocoa. But sadly, the host doesn't appreciate our small talk and attempts to turn my skull into his personal axe holder. Little does he know, his friends and I already had some fun outside, so almost kicking him through the stone wall took little to no effort. Next, we head down into the not so frightening basement to find our companion's friend out of service. No time to mourn though, because we have some neighbors who have come to finish the job. We then take care of some more enemies along the way and make it to the village square, where the enemies are tripled and the time is extended, because clearly I'm in need of as much trauma as possible before I can even get to the 15-minute mark into this game. Somehow I complete this on the first attempt, and clearly jealousy is real because I'm not invited to the extra festivities that are being held after.
Where's everyone going? Bingo?
We head forward, and somehow I forgot to save a while back, which bites me right in the tail because I get some rocks dropped on me shortly after. Making me restart completely over. Thankfully, with the power of editing, we make it back and push onward to clear out those who stayed behind from bingo, before finding a fellow survivor inside this cabin. Sadly, our convo is cut short by an Undertaker cosplayer who proceeds to use his brute strength to give me a much needed nap whilst injecting me with my very own blood-sucking parasitic pet. Once we awake, we find ourselves in a bind with our newfound friend, eventually freeing ourselves and turning this into a 2-man job. We enter this valley in order to get an emblem that will get us to the cosplayer's humble home, but it looks like he has some boosted security that thinks a chainsaw through my midsection would really suit my look. Trying to get away with breaking in undetected doesn't go so well though, after running into the man of the house himself, but on a time crunch, we head upstairs and successfully pull off this heist, giving us a special key. Once again though, he doesn't take our actions too kindly and gives me a big boot right to the sternum. Luckily though, we get help from a secret admirer.
Not bad, right?
With key in hand now, we can get access to some new spots around the village, but clearly others heard about our crimes and decided to do something about it, leading to me frantically ducking and dodging while trying to avoid dogs, oversized men, and a borderline multiplying extraterrestrial creature. But no worries, because after a few roundhouse kicks, they decide these legs are too much and retreat in fear, but I'm sure they'll return soon.
Oh, hello there!
Now we need a way into the church, but like everything else in this game, we need a key. So we head to this fish farm and acquire some good old gasolina, fueling this state-of-the-art boat. But before we can relax and do some fishing, we're interrupted by the biggest fish man has ever seen. Man, where's Guinness when you need him? Now, not only do I need to take down our fish friend, but I must also do this without trying to get blown to smithereens. After trying my hand at my harpoon skills and throwing about 200 or so, we take down Del Lago. Now with our fish friend down and out, we decide to take our second nap of the day, and we continue on our mission to find our key stuck in an altar. So we head out to find both heads that will free the key, but of course that comes with some heat. Eventually getting our key and running into our friend who has been of no assistance. Now clearly somebody doesn't want us to leave, and we get a warm welcome to this gargantuan. Of course, with this difficulty, we're not handed only one to deal with, but two. So I start slicing away at both of these cuddly guys one by one while trying not to get blown up by the dynamite being thrown from the onlookers above. After some time and completely butchering my melee button, we take down one of the creatures, but now we have two chainsaw wielding maniacs on our hands. We then take down the last giant along with both of our chainsaw friends and arrive at the church, where we find our princess, and now the real challenge begins. Because now, not only do I have to try not to get turned into minced meat myself, but I have to keep Trish safe as well. Totally not Ashley, by the way. Headed back to the village square, we have no choice but to make our way underground through the well, finding two blind and bootleg Wolverines. Now these can easily be some of the hardest enemies to take down due to only having a knife and it being nearly impossible to sneak up not only on one, but two of these guys, especially when one is fully decked out in armor, which leads me to get my upper and lower half divorced once or twice. But finally I learned the path of patience and strike when needed, taking down both. Once we're past the village square, it was time to take on what I knew would be one of the more challenging parts in the run, being the cabin section. Now not only do we have to keep this place at bay and try not to become overwhelmed by enemies, but it seems like they just have no end to them. No matter how many of them lick the bottom of my slightly worn boots, they just never stop. And after some unsuccessful attempts, I play strategic and stay upstairs the whole entire time, just hoping that Trish will come and save us. And that's exactly what happens after Trish comes in and saves us from becoming these villagers' evening supper. Finally, the chaos has seemed to come to a halt. It's something I would have said if this next chapter didn't exist. First, making our way through this valley without trying to get decapitated, beat to death, or blown up. Somehow we make it, just for a wrench to be thrown into our plans, now having to get a hold of this crank to open a gigantic door that will allow us to progress forward. But just when I thought this mod couldn't raise my blood pressure any higher, we have to somehow get the door open while enemies run 20 miles per hour straight into my spinal cord with a chainsaw. Eventually I just gave up and just decided to go all in with cranking the door to see if I could actually make it through. And with this mod on my side for once, I pull it off. Now with that crisis behind us, we head for the castle, but run into our number one stalker again. But sadly, Trish is clearly playing for the opposing team and cares nothing about us or our progress, causing a game over. And just to put a cherry on top of this, I somehow forget to save as well, meaning I had to do the whole door crank sequence all over again. Now, after wasting my life for another 45 minutes to an hour, we finally make it back and break loose from our little fan club. Not so fast though, because we're straight John Cena shoulder tackled into a battle with Mr. Cheeseman, along with two Mr. X's, making quick work out of Mendez's first phase, leaving us to try and relieve him from his pull-up exercise. And with these powerful kicks one by one, he can't take them all, and we knock him off his high horse, taking his eye as well. Finally, we make it to the castle, where the castle residents are excited to have us as guests and decide what better way to show hospitality than kidnapping and launching flaming rocks our way. We eventually do release the cannon, and we relieve our catapulting friends of their duties, eventually making our way into the castle. Making our way inside the castle, we meet a rejected extra from the 90s horror film Leprechaun, who wants to take our lovely Trish away, but obviously I decline. Not taking our disrespect too kindly, he gets a mob to take care of us, along with Verdugo, but even he can't withstand the power of our lightning-infused kicks. Now we embark on what I can only assume is some kind of freak dungeon by the dark, ominous lighting. Not quite though, turning out to be just a place where you come in and take in getting sliced and bludgeoned to death. Now, like I said at the beginning of the video, I can't use a gun under any circumstance, which makes the used to be water hall turn lava hall into pure nightmare fuel, especially when you have no way to deflect the arrows that are coming at your back every 2 seconds because you can't shoot the guys at the top of the balcony. We head down and grab the halo wheel so we can get out of this nightmare. Only then do we run into Verdugo for the second time, but he is only one part of the problem. The real challenge comes when having to protect Trish while she turns both wheels up top, while also trying to protect our own skin as well. Like a true man of my word, I use the power of my feet and throwables to help Trish get both wheels turned, even if I might have died once or twice. We make it to this courtyard where we try to share a romantic moment with Trish, but clearly we're as smooth as sliding on a wool sock lined with sandpaper. Next, we make our way down into a new section, moving some wine balls around before finally making our way out and getting a lantern to push forward. But before we can keep moving, we have a tense run-in with Lady, who tries to get in between me and Trish, but I won't give into her mind games. Keeping this train on track, we head up top to see our giant friend has now been replaced by 3 catapults. Freeing the cannon, we look to get rid of our boulder friends, but literally can't find an opening at all. But like the true warrior I am, I just shoot the door and make a run for it. But clearly they saw this coming and bring everybody out to say hi, somehow making it out and reuniting with Trish once again. Back on the other side of the courtyard, we now must pull down 3 flags and obtain an emblem of some sort that will allow us to pass. Of course though, the gang's all here and turn this from an easy job to straight trauma.
Ashley!
Now, after what I must say was a 10 out of 10 experience in the courtyard, we decide to head in and check out the interior of this place, but the way is blocked due to a 3-headed statue missing its pieces. Heading into the first room, we're greeted by 2 of our favorite blind people, making quick work out of them and grabbing our first piece. I tried a throwable strategy, but the creator was obviously smart enough to block that from happening in this room, leading us to actually have to lay waste to every enemy in here and grab our second piece. Last comes the lion head, which has us take on regenerators and knights alike before we're freed from our misery and able to take our reward and go. Next, we shift to Trish after some slight inconvenience with us and Dante, and now we need to get back on course. Now, unlike the original game, the time should be 7 if I'm not mistaken, but this mod has now changed it to a different time and I have no idea what it is, which stops our progress forward. But luckily I still keep Dante's kicking abilities, so all hope isn't lost on this part. Stuck on the time, I literally just turned the clock while spamming my X button, which gets me through somehow, but that's short-lived after getting choked out immediately after. We head down, get the insignia, and make our way back, but before we can free Dante, Trish is sadly taken away and stripped from our grasp once again by one of Salazar's henchmen. Taking a backseat from the main story, we play as Luis in a short segment, and to be completely blunt, I hated his sections with anything and everything in me, but I guess I have no choice but to push on. So we start off by traveling through some sewers and taking on all sorts of enemies before having to take on Verdugo with only our shoulder and a rusty pole. Thankfully, Dante's sword was still at our disposal though. And that's literally it. Like there's really no plot to Luis's part. I'm not gonna lie, it's just kind of a side thing you do. Finally, we're back to our regular scheduled program on the hunt for Trish, having another run-in with Verdugo on the way. We then open both gates to fight another Verdugo along with another one. I'm starting to think the creator that created this really has a Verdugo fetish. We then make it into this room that holds 2 Garradors along with a multitude of enemies, making it nearly impossible to get the drop on our claw-wielding friends. No worries though, I take out 1 Garrador and finish off the remaining enemies, killing the second Garrador to get both unicorn horns. Now we make it into the throne room, and to my surprise there's no Salazar, but instead it's in-game Saddler along with 2 miniature giants. Now, after a few kicks, Saddler makes a run for it and leaves his friends behind, allowing us to take down both gargantuans with ease. Now we head down to the sewers and we book it past some enemies due to being on a tight schedule before running into none other than, guess who? Verdugo, like we haven't seen him over 20 times in the previous chapters before this. And just like his other counterparts, we feed him a size 10 boot straight to the dome, but now we must wait out the elevator. Of course, it wasn't going to be that easy because now we had miniature Verdugos and a giant Verdugo to worry about. And no matter how many kicks are thrown his way, he does stay down. Until he gets tired, I guess, and he finally croaks. Finally, we're able to board the elevator, but our lovely blood-sucking pet is starting to act up, but thankfully run into Luis, who lends us a helping hand. We tag team these mines together, or should I say, I do all the work while Luis watches. We grab our dynamite and blast these rocks out of the way before being taken hostage against our will. Now, with one of these guys being fully armored, I thought this would be difficult, but I jump on his back immediately and he goes down after just a few slices, along with his buddies. I guess the bigger they are, the harder they fall. Now, with us unable to go through the regular path that the base game has for us, we hop into this newly added section of the game, taking on Verdugo and U3 at the same time, leaving basically unscathed, but seems like that was just a light exercise because in the next room we have giants, big and small, along with U3's tail and Verdugo attacking us all at the same time. And I will say, Verdugo's persistence is honestly unmatched. But after seeing my way out from this little shindig, we run into an old friend, Krauser, being kind of anticlimactic due to him running away after just a few slashes, until we hit a cutscene where me and Luis have seemingly become invisible, but sadly that doesn't stop our pal from dying in our arms. You can't see us, but don't worry, we're there. Until loading into the next chapter where it seems like he is alive and well. I'm just guessing he wanted some attention. We hit the clock tower and try not to die while making our way to the top, unsuccessfully of course. Finally, we find Trish, but we're too late apparently, as she takes off with Krauser, needing something to take my rage out on. We take on Salazar in his Venus flytrap form, slipping and sliding everywhere. And instead of kicking him to death, we deliver some prison style type shanks, putting him down easily. And now with our princess being taken against her will, it's up to us to save her. So to the island we go. We make our much anticipated arrival to the island, and I'm immediately greeted by death. Not once, but twice. After making way through the facility, we find Trish, but sadly she's being held captive. Not for long though, especially if I have something to do with it. Heading to the labs to find the key card that will free her, we run into some high security that's obviously getting paid very generously. We finally get the last key card needed to free Trish and get the much needed reunion we deserve. Now, instead of progressing with Leon, because that wouldn't make any sense, would it? We pick up as Luis and try to make it past the enemies at the top of the clock tower, but with him having arguably the worst melee system in the game, this is almost deemed impossible. We then make it to the same facility from the Separate Ways DLC and are in need of some fuel to make our escape via helicopter, which once again, I deem impossible. Now, after 30 to 45 minutes or so, we get the fuel and make our way out of this treacherous place, hopefully to never touch a single part with him again. Back with the iconic duo, we look to make an escape, but we're thrown into the worst part of this entire mod. I wish I was honestly kidding when I say this section took me over an hour and a half to complete, due to the sheer amount of enemies we have to fight on our way through. Krauser, Gyarados, Iron Maidens, Super Salvadors, you name it, and it was thrown into this one section here, just so the creator could waddle in pure joy at the aggression that was coursing through me after multiple attempts. Somehow I finally lock in, I defeat all the enemies, and we make it to this control room that needs power, where we deal with the literal same exact thing, just a different scenery to take our final breath in. With the power on, we head to the wrecking ball section, where I chunk some hand grenades at the wall in order to collapse it before I turn to these guys' latest victim. Even with this method in hand, they still got the better of me. Now, after barely escaping by the hairs of Dante's chinny chin chin, we run to the mastermind behind everything, Sadler, who takes control of Trish and attempts to take out his biggest threat the easy way, but luckily, the gun is out of ammo. Sadly for us though, Trish is taken once again, and at this point, what are we even good for? Now, after that little ordeal, we make it to Krauser and look to have our rifle rematch and avenge Luis, making it challenging for us to reach him by having some enemies do his dirty work for him. We meet him at the top, along with some other friends, before he decides to show off his new arm that he plans on breaking in on us. Meeting Krauser in a better fighting space, we take him on mano a mano, or should I say 10-on-1, with every attack that you could think possible coming my way. Problem for Krauser is, I've had all game to warm up my legs, and after about 9 hours of non-stop kicking, he stood absolutely no chance at all. With crowds are dead and gone, we head to chapter 15, and at this point, I can barely hold the excitement. It was time for the home stretch. Now, this section was quite easy with Mike using his minigun to cut down the numbers for us, because I did say I wasn't allowed to use a gun. I never said anything about NPCs using guns. Along with go ahead and taking down this AA cannon for Mike, and finally flipping both switches, making a run for it. We then make it into this room, needing to turn this wheel and book it to the door before it closes. Too bad we have multiple regenerators blocking the path. Once out, we head to the summit where Trish is being held, taking down the enemies on the way up in order to flip the turn blocking the path, and after about a death or two, we get through and make it to Trish in the nick of time. But of course, Sadler has other plans for us. Just when all hope seems lost though, Lady comes in to save the day, giving us an opportunity to make a getaway. We then get to Luis's lab and remove our overgrown pets, restoring us back to 100%. Now it was time. No guns, just feet and a knife. We had to take down Sadler. Downside is, he's a giant spider that can't be kicked, but getting close enough to his face allows us to stab him right in the eye, even though we do have to dodge a multitude of enemies, but you know, we're not gonna worry about that. I found this out too late on the first try and fell, but we do learn from our mistakes and deliver crushing blows to his weak spot before he turns into his true final form, where I'm given a pass to use a gun because I do have to blow him up with a rocket to beat the game. With that done, the only thing left to do was to make a clean getaway, and we do just that, since the creator actually spared us by not making us do the jet ski cave scene. On half a tank of fuel and a beautiful sunrise on the horizon, our story is finished. Well done, if I do say so myself. Only took 10 hours and just 1 or 2 saves. Yeah, let's not talk about it. Now, surprisingly, some people might think that I actually hated the challenge, but I actually enjoyed it quite a bit. It actually gave me, you know, a little bit of fire inside of me, if you know what I mean. Yeah. Anyways, but if you actually did stay and watch this video, maybe you watched it because you actually wanted to see how hard the challenge was, or you just want to watch me be mentally tortured, I thank you nonetheless, even though you might be a maniac. But I thank you for the support, and if you like this video, I want you to see more like this, so please like, subscribe, and turn on notice so you never miss a single video where I am showing off my pain. Anyways, I think that's actually, I'm not gonna say I think, that's actually gonna do it for this video. And until the next video, I'll see you later.
Peace.